Hey everyone, welcome back to the YOUnify podcast. My name is Brandyn Keating. I'm the co-founder and CEO of YOUnify, a nonprofit helping you flourish and thrive, and I'm the host of our podcast. I'm super excited to be joined today by Gita Stulberg. Welcome, Gita.
Thank you.
Gita has spent over 20 years working in nonprofits, community-based organizations, and political campaigns in pursuit of racial and economic justice. In 2017, Gita founded Social Justice Lab, bringing together professionals from diverse backgrounds to focus on innovating new strategies for progress in social justice. 1 year later, after the mass shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, Gita co-founded the MyVote Project, a nonpartisan voter education resource where she currently functions as the executive director. Gita, it's such a pleasure to have you here. I'm so grateful that we are getting to hang out with you in person today. Let's learn, before we dive into all the magic that you're bringing into the world with MyVote, let's let the audience learn a little bit more about you. So what was young Gita like, and how did young Gita become this powerhouse that you are today?
Well, young Gita was very much a theater person.
Yeah.
That was all I cared about.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of always had some sort of social justice going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a family that has always worked in and around social justice. So it was, I got taken to marches when I was little. And I mean, in my mom's tummy, I canvassed for school board in Rochester. So,
it's kind of in your DNA.
It's always been in my DNA for sure. But, I always thought I was going to go into theater, and I majored in theater in college.
Wow.
And got out and immediately got into politics. So
fascinating. And so for somebody who maybe knows you from politics or your social justice world, is there something about you that people might be surprised by? Maybe a passion or a talent or a hobby? Or
I think actually people are very surprised by the theater.
Really?
And to me, it makes so much sense because in theater, it's the study of people.
Absolutely.
And that's what politics is too.
Yeah, well, and connecting on our shared humanity as well. Yeah. So here in YOUnify, we talk a lot and care about human flourishing and how we can all flourish and thrive. And I'm curious for you if there's anything right now that you're finding, just like one thing that's challenging you when it comes to flourishing, and maybe one thing that's helping you flourish and thrive.
Well, let's start with helping me flourishing. Just the daily work that I do and engaging with the student and young folks that I engage with every day keep me hopeful, flourishing, and thriving.
Awesome.
Challenges, I think it's challenging time, and I think we're all there. So knowing we're all there together is also helpful.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. It's if we're going to be in it, it's good to be in it together, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so let's dig into MyVote.
Sure.
So can you explain what MyVote Project is and what was the genesis? How did it get started? What were you trying to solve that sort of sparked that creation of MyVote?
Sure. So MyVote Project we are nonpartisan, nonprofit voter education organization, voter education and civic engagement organization. We are powered by youth, and really the problem we set out to solve was really lack of knowledge about particularly local candidates.
Oh, yeah. So important.
People just not knowing, who is running for office, and also what offices are up for elections.
Right.
You know,
there are so many.
There are so many. And kind of the genesis of how we started, we are a project that grew out of the tragedy of the February 14th, 2018 Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting.
Yeah.
And basically, I was living in Florida at the time. I went up, as many organizers did, right after the shooting to try and lend a hand. We heard that the students were planning a march, and so a lot of organizers went up and showed up to lend support.
To support, yeah.
And I literally remember walking into this room. It was a big, like almost ballroom.
Yeah.
And seeing all these very young people sitting there in groups, and they had like categories and sections for different parts of the march that they were planning. And it blew my mind, you know.
Yeah.
These kids who had, not kids, these young people who had just suffered this enormous tragedy.
Yeah.
Just seeing that tragedy turn to action in real time was unbelievable.
And organized action.
Absolutely organized action. And I met my co-founder of MyVote Project, Sarah Kaufman, who was in charge of voter registration that day.
And she was one of the young people.
She was a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
And she told me that she was going to register 1,000 voters on the day of March for Our Lives. And I smiled and, you know.
Shoot for the stars.
Yeah, go for it, you know. And not only did she register 1,000 voters, she registered more than 1,000 voters by bringing together a coalition of voter registration organizations.
Beautiful organizing,
Yeah. And so, and that was, you know, that also brought up questions for her about why do people not know, like, the county sheriff is an elected position.
Right.
And how do we solve for that?
Yes.
And so that's what MyVote Project set out to solve.
Incredible. And you mentioned that your co-founder was just a sophomore when this started, and that the focus is primarily youth. How do you define youth? I feel like the older I get, I'm like under 45. Right. But seriously though, how do you define youth?
So, I mean, I guess the traditional, in our world here, the traditional youth is the 18 to 25-year-olds. We obviously started with a younger group of people. We generally work with students who are freshmen in high school all the way up through, well, now entering the workforce, but all the way up through college. Because the students that have joined us have stayed with us, and we don't want them going anywhere.
No, of course, right? Yeah. It's that lifelong pursuit of greater civic engagement that you've inculturated with them. Yeah,
absolutely. And they've become mentors to our students who are coming in. So
yeah, so there are those relational ties there. That's fantastic. And you mentioned also that you started in Florida. What geography does the project cover now?
We are now in 27 states. We tend to, you know, as we launch different initiatives, we tend to start in one locale and then spread it out the following year, if it's working.
Yeah.
But we have students in 27 states, and they have the groups that they've organized with, and sort of their community groups that they work with, and peers that they work with within those states.
Incredible.
So yeah, it's been and continues to grow. So
awesome. So there are a lot of organizations out there that do talk about civic engagement. And I feel like that word can sound a little distant or esoteric to folks sometimes. So what makes MyVote Project sort of different from other voter education or democracy projects? What is your sort of way in which you approach the work?
So well, number one, everything is facilitated by our young volunteers. So that in and of itself,
they're at the
is a
center.
difference. Yes.
Yeah.
And all of the work comes from them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have an idea they want to try out as a way to engage their communities, we try it out.
Yeah.
So we started with doing sort of the traditional outreach and civic engagement, working with elected officials, doing candidate forums and candidate debates, policy forums, that kind of very traditional outreach. And then we kind of took a step back after COVID and thought, okay, now we have to go back out on the ground.
Yeah.
We have to work with students who have been online this entire time and
maybe for some of their most formative years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then what does community look like at this point?
Yeah.
What is civic engagement? So we really took a step back, and we actually partnered with Columbia University. We partnered with a research institute called Insight at Columbia and developed this model for community conversations.
Oh, nice.
And we started with our students just hosting peer-to-peer conversations, is what we called it, bringing a group of friends together, talking to them about what are the issues that are impacting your daily life?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you're focused on, that you're hearing, that you care about in your direct community? And kind of how does that relate to the national stage of politics? And so the peer-to-peer conversations really took off.
Love that.
And then the community conversations, they brought, advocates, activists, everyday people from all different walks of life into these conversations. They chose the issues.
Love that.
And it was really good, but we still realized that community was really being redefined. And that there had to be a piece that was digital as well as in person. And so we started talking to them about what are some of the other ways, more creative ways that we can engage people.
Yeah.
And this last year, we've really kind of leaned into those more creative ways, doing things like zine workshops.
Love this.
Well, you bring people together, you have an issue that you're focused on, and you all create these one-page mini zines.
Yeah.
Magazines for people who don't know it.
Learn up on the lingo. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
And it's great because while people are making them, that's where the real conversation is happening.
Right. They're doing something together. Yeah. They're socializing. It can be more natural to meet somebody new. Yeah.
Exactly. And it gives kind of a focal point to our young folks to really be able to guide and facilitate the conversation without kind of imposing the issue onto the group.
Yeah. So, I feel like so many people's experience of politics or civic engagement has turned into like this alarming text message or email that is like, the world is falling, contact your representative, which of course it's important for us to contact our elected decision makers, and we should always do that all the time. And I worry about the tactical whiplash. It sounds to me like you are really investing in the strategic capacity and the relational fabric to create a sustainable movement. And I'm wondering if you can just share a little bit more about what that looks like and how folks sustain through the work over, as we mentioned, during some pretty challenging times.
I think the really important thing, number one, to remember is elections happen every year. Politics is local,
certainly,
as Tiffany has said. But I think it's important for people to stay engaged, and realize that, and really engaged. The reason why we focus on local elections is because it gives us sort of an entrance into the larger government structure and how government works for us. Right. And so if you're engaged at the local level and you're having that stop sign, put in, or you're having, whatever that local, very down the block issue is. I think that it just opens the door to how all of this leadership connects to our lives on a day-to-day basis. And I think that our students are seeing that, and they're finding their own sense of being leaders through doing the engagement work.
Beautiful. And, you mentioned that you've invited the students and the young people who are part of the project to really bring their own ideas into it. And I'm curious about, has there ever been like a super creative idea that like really shocked you, or something that you were like, oh, I don't know if that's going to work, but you tried it and it worked, or the opposite, like maybe something that that didn't work so well, but you learned something from it?
That's a good question. I'm trying to, we've had some suggestions to do like game nights or just things that they do regularly, throughout.
I love that. Just making it more of an organic part of life to integrate politics. Like, we don't have to do our game night and our fun over here and then go do like stodgy, boring politics over here, or civic engagement over here.
Exactly. We really, that's what we encourage, is that it just becomes part of the fabric of their day to day, and we've started breakfast clubs at a lot of, particularly with our college students. And basically what it is they meet either once a month or bi-monthly, just with their peers, and just kind of sit there and talk, and there's no agenda. We don't say, come with an issue to talk about, because we really want them to see that this is just a part of being, existing, and being a part of your community,
Absolutely. Well, and I think there's such power in that, because it really is our connectedness to one another that allows us to create social change in the world, right? If we're disconnected, then we can be easily divided, and also we don't have that power of acting as a collective. So creating that relational fabric, whether we're explicitly talking about an issue or not, I feel like is incredibly powerful, and probably easier to engage more people if it's a little bit more flexible as to
definitely.
what is the topic.
I do think that there is some internet fatigue, there's some digital fatigue, particularly with the generation that I work with, and
almost come full circle,
absolutely, and there's a need to connect, there's a need to connect in person, a need to put the phone down and see what's going on with your friend or your neighbor or the person who runs the diner down the block. Or
totally. And again, thinking about the information and the information that we get through our digital devices of various sorts, and that not only the digital fatigue, but just the overwhelm that many people have about there are so many things happening on different issues that can feel overwhelming, and where do I begin? So for people maybe who are looking to make a difference but don't know where to begin, or actually, let me even back up a step and say, in MyVote, are there specific barriers that you see a lot? And then how do you work to break through those? And where does somebody begin who doesn't know where to start?
So I think when we started MyVote, our initial goal was to make something very accessible, that people could just type in their address and learn about all of the candidates on all sides.
Yeah.
What they stood for, what their platforms were, what they're running for.
Yeah.
And just make it really simple for people to read, digest, even to the point where if they were standing online getting ready to vote, we could have our students be there with this tool and say, if you haven't looked up these candidates yet, before you go in and vote, here are your candidates. Just take a look.
Yeah.
Just take a look at what's on your ballot. And because of our partnership now with ActiVote, we can provide information across the country, which
that's great.
We initially started with all of our students doing the research. We had a partnership with Duke University. One of our co-founders is Professor David McAdams from Duke University. And our students were doing all of the candidate research, and then it was being checked there.
Wow.
So the partnership with ActiVote really kind of changed our ability to be able to really be on the ground and focus more on that work. But we're still at the polls during early vote and election day.
Incredible. So speaking of the different things maybe that students can do, I know your primary age range is 18 to 24, but what about for those students maybe that have wiggled in from the younger demographic? What are some ways in which they're able to volunteer with you?
Sure. Our target audience was, 14-year-olds.
Right.
14-year-olds coming into high school. And really, the first group of students that sought us out was during COVID in 2020, when they weren't able to vote. They weren't voting age. And nobody really understood how to join a campaign.
Yeah.
Because campaigns were struggling to figure out how they were going to operate online. And they sort of came to us as a way to be involved, a way to disseminate information to their communities in a way that was digestible.
Yeah.
And it's kind of grown from there. The only reason why we're beyond 18 now is because those 14-year-olds have grown up. But I would say you can definitely go to our Instagram. There's a link in the bio to volunteer. We welcome volunteers starting beginning of high school.
Amazing.
And someday, hopefully even younger. So
love that. Yeah. So we'll have all the links below to do that. We'll have the Instagram link and any other MyVote links and links to connect with the work and connect with Gita so that y'all can get involved with this amazing work. And also, if you're inspired by what you're hearing, if you're enjoying the podcast, we love for you to click the subscribe, click the like button, leave your comments, tell us what you're thinking or what questions you have about getting involved and young people getting engaged with civic engagement. Any interaction that you have with the content really helps it get to more people. So that's something you can do to help out right now. And we also, of course, will have information about our Write the Future campaign, which is a campaign that you can get involved with in your local community to get together with your neighbors, imagine and build concrete action steps towards the hopeful future that you would like to see. So Gita, I feel like it's sort of a persistent narrative out there. There are almost two sides of the coin to it. On one side, I feel like there's a narrative out there about like the young people don't care and they're apathetic. And on the other side of the coin, it's like the young people, we have to get the young people, they're going to save us. So what's the reality based on your work with young people?
Sure. Well, I obviously work with young people that I see they care.
Yes.
But I definitely have heard that narrative. I hear it a lot when we go for funding.
Yeah.
But I would say that I think we have to look at the reality of what they are growing up in. And, from COVID to major social movements to the very question of democracy's survival.
Yes.
I think that, and the fact that they're bombarded with information all the time and really trying to, cipher through it. And I think that we have to recognize that they are beginning to understand that they need to be the change they want to see.
Yeah.
And I think that they're understanding that they need to become those leaders. They need to really help us all facilitate building a world that they can really thrive in.
Yeah.
In the future. And I would say that we're kind of seeing a sea change. We're at that point. I mean, this isn't new. Student movements are not, for decades, for longer than decades, have been going on. And I think that we're at that point again where we're seeing students take the reins.
Yeah, amazing. So you mentioned going for funding. You're a nonprofit organization, right? So if somebody's listening and they're like, wow, this sounds awesome, I want to help out, but I'm not 18 to 24 and maybe is a more seasoned person, what are some other ways to help? Is donating a way of helping? Are there other ways beyond that?
Sure. One, absolutely donating is always an option, always helpful. We take volunteers of all ages.
Oh, wonderful.
We focus on our youth facilitating the projects that we do, but we always need help organizing. We always need help just kind of getting through all the paperwork and getting through calls and emails and helping us build events.
Yeah.
So I would say we will put you to work if you seek us out.
Awesome. So whether it's time or treasure, folks can help out, and we'll definitely have all those links for everyone below. So what's next for MyVote? Do you have any new projects, partnerships, or what are you hoping happens next that you want to invite people into?
So we're definitely going to double down on all of the creative engagement that we've been doing over the last year.
Awesome.
We also are going to go back a little bit to our roots and hold a few local candidate forums.
Nice.
A few policy discussions. And then we are, because I'm always asked, what do the kids think?
Yeah.
I'm tired of talking and speaking for them.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the person to speak for them.
Yeah.
So we are hitting the ground this year and going around and asking them what they think.
Beautiful.
And filming them in their communities and showing you. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. So if folks who are listening or watching are kind of thinking, well, what's one thing that I could do, maybe in my own local community, or, we like to try to think about in YOUnify just one thing. Like, what's just one thing that maybe even takes 5 minutes or less that is something easy that anybody could do to just take a first step, in this case, on civic engagement? Do you have any tips for folks about like one easy step forward?
Sure. Meet up.
Meet up.
Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your kids.
Yeah.
Be a part of your community.
Building those connections.
Be, like democracy is formed by the people. So participate.
Beautiful. Well, Gita, our time has flown by. It's been such a pleasure to have you here. I hope that you'll come back and keep us updated and maybe bring some of the young people as well.
I would love to. Thank you.
Awesome. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening and watching. Again, all of the links to get in touch with MyVote and support it, as well as connect with Gita, will be in the description and across our social media channels, as well as the links for the Leadership for Flourishing book and Write the Future. So thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, have a great day. And thank you again so much, Gita. It's such a pleasure to hear about your awesome work.
Thank you.